In this interview, I have Michele from Harmonic Labs, who is writing an alternative smart contract language using TypeScript. That way, for any developer that is used to and very familiar with TypeScript, they can do all their off-chain code and on-chain code all in one single language and deploy it onto the Cardano blockchain. This is really, really cool. He's managed to get to the point where it's all compiling in TypeScript to the Plutus core language as well. So anyone that is wanting to use this can use this at this point in time. So it's pretty exciting where it is. He does need to get it a little bit further, finish off the APIs. So it's just before an alpha release, I think. That's probably the best way to describe it, but it's almost there. So check out this interview, check out the repos, all the links in the description down below for you.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.
Right, so we're just going to go through this magical BlueTS stuff that you've made.
Yeah.
Do you have any demos to show, or are we just going to just talk about it?
The code is open source, meaning that all the library is all the code is available for anyone to check, to test. There is some documentation. Probably I'll send you the link later to whoever wants to start playing with it. So at the level of demos, no, not properly. It's quite young as a meaning as a working app. I believe you were talking about.
So, just compiling some code.
Compiling. Yeah. Sure, there are. I also made that tweet. I was very excited when I got the first contract compiled. So the all the library is working, meaning that you are able to write smart contract as you wish. All the language is ready. So there are, of course, the basic types such as integers, byte string, data, and you can define also more complex types that are structured. So there is the struct keyword basically that allows you to define your own types, and then on these types, on the documentation is all explained. You have a set of functions that allow you to work with more easily or with these types. So and there are functions for conditional code execution and functions for recursion. So there is all it is needed to have a Turing complete language, so that we can assume that now BlueTS is complete, meaning it covers everything that can be written in any other language can be written also in BlueTS. So from this side, BlueTS is ready. Whereas what is missing is all the API which I'm writing. And by API, I mean if you go look at the documentation of BlueTS, which is the official library by IOG, if I'm not mistaken. That library has a lot of functions that allow you to use the script context much easier, because you just give the transaction info and then you get all the information you want. On BlueTS, this is possible. However, you have to do this by hand. So the next step is to write this set of functions to make everything more accessible, more easy to use, even if it is already possible. And then the original concept of smart contract on Cardano was to be able to write both the off-chain and the on-chain code in the same language. Yeah. That is why then came out also the PAB, which stands for Plutus Application Backend, and is able to, of course, run off-chain code in Haskell. So you can use the same types of the on-chain and in the off-chain, in that case in Haskell. BlueTS wants to stick to that vision of having one language for everything. So I'm also working on the off-chain, meaning the transaction creation, and one core idea of BlueTS is to have as less dependencies as possible. So both the on-chain, which was the hard part, and the off-chain, which is, in my opinion, less hard to implement, are written from scratch, meaning literally the only dependency is a buffer, which uh, technically speaking is something that in Node is already present, and in the browser is achieved using some standard API. So everything basically is done at the bit. Every bit is uh, put in position by BlueTS, and this allows, yeah, of course, it's harder to implement from one side, but allows to have native JavaScript that is able to run basically anywhere, um, with with minimal setup. So it really, from this side, lowers the from this side, it really lowers the barrier of entry. So which was one of the main goals.
I think so too. Like, I did try and set up my environment with Nix, Cabal, and everything else around it, and it took me a long time. I actually destroyed my MacBook. I've been telling everyone that I've been interviewing, like, I destroyed because I had to create a petition for Nix. I destroyed the MacBook. It wouldn't boot up after a while, so I had to restore an image and start all over again. Second time, I still didn't get it right. So that just killed my developer experience in writing anything in Plutus. So it was just a huge pain in the ass. So I managed to get it working on my Windows machine, but not on the Mac. I thought it would be a lot easier. So, having this experience where there are so many developers out there that just love TypeScript, and be able to onboard developers into the Cardano ecosystem running smart contracts with TypeScript. And like you said, the front end, the off-chain and the on-chain stuff, all in the same language. That's brilliant. That's the type of experience that you want to have, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That as an example, if we go see on other ecosystems, um, even if the smart contract programming language probably is a bit more mature, just for a question of longevity, meaning they are there from much more time. Um, Programmers still have to have some knowledge of, I don't know, JavaScript to create transaction from the browser, and Solidity or Viper in the case of EVMs compatible uh, chains. So uh, that is also something that may be tedious from that point of view. So yeah, that is definitely something uh, that we a selling point, if we want, of Cardano. This thing of having, even if it is not one of the major problems.
So are you seeing much of an uptake of this? Like, I know you made it open source. Like, are people contributing back to the code itself, the code base? Are people using it to write their own dApps at the moment? Have you seen much interest? I've seen on Twitter, like, a lot of people are interested. Like,
Yeah.
you just basically created magic. And seeing that post a little while back, and being able to actually have smart contracts on Cardano in BlueTS is just absolutely amazing. So what's the feedback like, and what's the uptake like?
I'm receiving a lot of, also, I don't know, direct messages, comments, of people that is really interested in using the technology, receiving lots of positive feedback, and this is really wow. uh, I I mean, I started writing BlueTS because uh, I have no idea. I saw the specification. I said, okay, this is Plutus core that is running, is not Haskell. We can have something that goes from TypeScript to BlueTS, to Plutus core. Why not? Why don't do it? So it was more like the challenge, and then I discovered, oh, this can be useful to a lot of people actually. So
Yeah, okay.
yeah, the feedback was definitely something I would not say really unexpected, because if you think about it, it is something needed, but that caught me personally as a big surprise, and really good surprise. and it was really positive. As I said before, the I'm not sure. I don't think even it is even 1 month that BlueTS is out, meaning the documentation is out, uh, the library as is usable. So I don't believe you can see any dApp working, but I'm working I myself also on some uh, first off working smart contract to show, and also I don't know, some NFT vending machine that can be written into TS so that people can start learning with actual projects, and then
Yeah, that's great.
incrementally uh, more complex that. Um, so in this very moment, no, but I'm sure we'll see some initial dApp by 2023, and I, I have no problem seeing this library as something used uh, large scale, meaning some large dApp uh, either will be constructed because from zero, because we should remember that we are at nothing in what we could
Yeah,
be,
we're still
or
definitely early days on all this.
absolutely. So it's just a question of time in seeing real world adoption, from my point of view at least.
Yeah. Okay. Well, at least that lower barrier to entry is there now, so that people can actually pick it up and give it a go and whatnot. So, in regards to getting people on board and contributing back to the project itself and learning how to use it, I know you said you're going to get the documentation up and extend it out, but where do we people go right now to actually find out a little bit more information about it and contribute to the project?
Well, the 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 main point to learn how BlueTS work is the source itself. So you can go on GitHub. The repository is at Harmonic Labs slash BlueTS. That's it. Of course, on GitHub. And the second on the repository, you will find a link in the README to the documentation. That is much more discursive. I would say much softer but yeah, approach to start writing, or at least having an idea on how BlueTS works, all the type system that there is, because uh, type safety is something that I really wanted for the smart contract to be safe. Um, so BlueTS implements its own type system. Then once you know the types, how to create BlueTS values from TypeScript values, because we have to remember that BlueTS is an embedded DSL, meaning that there is TypeScript that is its own language, and then inside TypeScript there is BlueTS. So we have to have some way to pass from TypeScript to BlueTS. So all that is written in documentation. So I would say the main starting points are definitely the documentation and the GitHub repository. And if anyone then has question on the GitHub repository, you can open issue at any moment, or you can really send me a DM. I'm really happy if I can help discovering this new technology, because I'm sure then at a certain point there will be people more that will know eventually more about BlueTS than me, because they will get really passionate about using the project. So yeah,
That'd be amazing.
I definitely have to send you the links for the documentation and the GitHub repository.
Yeah, I think I've got the repository on hand. I mentioned it in an update video a little while back when you're creating all these really cool things. So there's no Discord or Telegram community at the moment where people can chat live.
I don't really use Discord. So
Fair enough. Yep.
yeah, I have Discord, but I don't use it much. So even if there were some sort of community, I wouldn't be able to be there. So probably at some time later, I will try to set up some Discord and be more present.
Yeah, I guess when the community around BlueTS grows itself, then maybe there will be a need for it. But okay, I'll put a link to your Twitter account because I'm sure you're getting a lot of DMs at the moment in regards to all this, people asking questions and whatnot. Do you have any other tips for a starting developer in the Cardano ecosystem that wants to build a dApp? So there's so much to it. There's the smart contract side of things. There's a front end side of things. There's a server side of things as well. Have you got any tips for anyone to get started?
Yeah, absolutely. So the number one tip is to start messing around in anything. I would say in the computer science world, but probably in life. But I don't want to get uh, to expand it. But generally, is to start doing things. And if we want to talk about creating a dApp on Cardano, you first have to have some concept of the what UTXOs are. And in my opinion, the best way to learn what UTXOs are is to create transaction, meaning downloading the Cardano CLI and on testnet get some pounds, some test data, and start really messing around with the creation of transaction through the CLI, because the CLI gives you a nice interface. You know exactly what is going inside the transaction, what is going outside the transaction, and all the auxiliary data. So the first, the if you want to learn how to set up a decentralized application, you should first learn to create a transaction, because transactions are quite different due to the UTXO model. And this is probably the only, I would say, effort to have an idea of how Cardano is working. Once you have this idea, independently of your programming language of choice, you can use Haskell, you can use Rust, you can use TypeScript. You Once you have this mental model of the UTXO, really then implementing this smart contract is just applying this UTXO model. And so to give a plan is to start creating transactions, um, having an idea of the UTXO model. Once you have the idea of the UTXO model, all you need to keep in mind while writing a smart contract is that when you were creating transaction using your private key, it's like in your head you had your own smart contract, meaning when I sign a transaction with my wallet, is running a smart contract in my head. And if I see, I don't know, I want to buy an NFT, and I see, okay, this NFT is has enough colors, then for me is a yes. So I'm approving the transaction with my private key. The smart contract does something similar. The only difference is that it doesn't have a private key. It only has some logic. And if the logic says yes, then you're allowed to, in this case, buy the NFT. If it says no, then the transaction doesn't go through. So you have transaction creation, UTXO model. Once you have the UTXO model, the smart contract is basically a person without a private key. So you are just creating a transaction with a special person. And from there, all you need is some front end to show your dApp to your users.
That's a really cool way of putting it to get someone started. So start with the CLI transactions, then use that kind of model, that idea and concept of a smart contract being a person that doesn't have the private keys. So you write the transaction for that, and then wire up your UI and interface against all that once you got it all down packed. Okay, cool. That's a really nice starting point, and I think a lot of people get some value out of that. So thank you so much for that contribution too.
My pleasure.
Now, one last question. Now, are you doing this full time? And are you funded for this? Are you going for Project Catalyst funds or anything like that? How are you going to keep on developing this? Because the documentation, everything around it, you've probably spent a huge amount of time as it is. Yeah. How are you able to spend so much time on it? And how are you going to spend more time on it to really build it out for the community? And I'm sure, eventually more people can contribute, but it's basically you spearheading it at the moment to gain that traction. So how are you going to fund yourself around this?
Well, I did some Catalyst proposals that were accepted but not founded due to how Catalyst works. So the founded were ended prior. So the found ended before it can reach my proposal. So that was quite unfortunate. Currently, I'm full time on BlueTS. Currently, mostly because it is fun. I'm having fun writing all BlueTS. It's really intriguing. Um, I got a lot of knowledge that I didn't have before on how Cardano is working. It was really for myself first, if we want to see it this way, because I learned a lot. And then the plan to keep this thing founded and is to, well, if ever there would be a fountain, do another proposal. But even if there will never be a fountain, we don't yet have a date. We can come up with some decentralized application using BlueTS that can start get some funds in. And this is mostly, as you said, I'm alone on this project in this very moment. So the funds will mostly, or if not 100%, spent to assume to hire new people working on the project for two main reasons. One, the quality of the code gets better because two ads is better than one, and also the development time, the maintenance, all this gets much better. So option one, waiting for fountain. Option two, coming up with some project that I'm spoiler alert already writing, that eventually will allow me to hire new people and have fun because that is really what allows me to the fact that I'm young, so I can afford the risk, and the fact that I'm having fun are the things that are allowing me to push this much on BlueTS.
Okay, brilliant. Well, keep on having fun. Keep on contributing to this library. I'm sure a lot more people will pick it up very, very soon. And fingers crossed, Fund 10 does start sometime in January, maybe late January, maybe early February, so that some more development, more funding is available for development like this. I think it's so crucial at the moment in the Cardano ecosystem to bring on more developers, break down that barrier entry into the ecosystem so more people can build dApps. And I'm seeing this right now. Like there's the Aiken, there's what you're building. I saw another one. I've got another interview with one that's doing it in Python as well. So smart contracts using Python. So it's really evolving, and I find it like a really exciting space at the moment to see all these like languages come out, these options come out for anyone that's building a Cardano. So keep on going. Good luck. And I'm sure it will come. The funding will come soon, so you can work on this full time and keep it fun.
Absolutely. I know all of them. I know who is developing Icon. I know who is developing. I think you mentioned Imperator when mentioning Python. So
yeah, that's it.
There are definitely lots of tools that are coming to Cardano. So the developer experience will only get better and better. This is only good for Cardano. So I try to stay as in touch as possible with also these other developers, because at the end of the day we are trying to achieve the same result for a and as much fast as possible spectrum of developers, which is great, just great. So yeah,
it is. All right, brilliant.
thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, and we'll chat soon. Fingers crossed that everything falls into place for you, and it keeps on going. So, thank you for your time, and we'll chat soon.
Thank you, Pete, for all this education that you bring to Cardano. It is really useful, in my point of view, at least.
Hopefully you guys got something out of this interview. I surely did. Again, the links are in the show notes for you as well. This project is really cool. I have my own dev team that are really competent with TypeScript, and they absolutely love this approach. It means that they don't need to learn a whole new language. They don't need the Haskell and the Plutus experience. They can continue writing stuff in TypeScript and actually get smart contracts and integrate it into the Cardano blockchain. Very, very exciting. If you got something out of this, I have a full developer series that is talking about all the different alternative smart contract languages on the Cardano blockchain. Links in the top right-hand corner there for you. But if you enjoyed this episode itself, please consider giving me that thumbs up, click subscribe, click on that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debating.